I was going to bring Werther's Originals again for everybody as a token of our appreciation for what you do. But again, we have some office hijinks. We have people who are takers and not givers. And a guy named Taiwo Anatolu, you may know him, their special teams coordinator, works their defense ends. He comes to my office every day, takes Werther's. Ask how many he's put back.
How many did you put back?
0. 0. 0 Werther's Originals. He comes in every day, just takes his whatever he feels.
How many weeks?
This is going on months, guys. It's years, really, typically, when you go back to last year. I mean, it's a shame, you know.
You think you know a guy?
Yeah, you think you know a guy. We worked together for a long time. Taiwo Anatolu, write it down. I feel like I have to air it publicly because it's the only way it gets solved.
That can affect his availability for Saturday.
His availability for Saturday? Probably not, you know what I mean? A typical guy like him, he just, you know, he won't think anything of it. You know, he'll be like, whatever, you know. But maybe we could make some awareness. Adam on the Twitter machine. You know what I'm saying, Andy? Right? Get after him a little bit. Get the public at him. Outrage. Coach O. Anyway, all right, gentlemen, ladies, thank you for being here. There's pretzels down here, too. Awesome. All right, fire away.
Feels like Bean and Trevor Wilson have had a really good connection going recently. But when you see some, I mean, and even before that, but like when you see something like that going, how do you like continue to work that in and emphasize it more?
Well, maybe it's not as much as emphasizing it more, but always going back to, as I've said in here, about making sure that you are aware of capabilities and limitations of all your players. You know, and Trevor has brought some speed to, you know, in the last couple of weeks and had some instances where we thought we could, you know, utilize that, and it showed up, and Jason was able to find it. You know, as Trevor continues to get playing time and competes for it, much like we've talked about in here before, that's a very competitive room still with the receiver group, and they're all making each other better. And that as you're pointing out, his production in the last couple of games is a byproduct of him competing every day to play and take reps along with other guys. So I don't know, you go emphasize it more, but you continue to be proud of what they're doing, and you point out, you know, hey, here's somebody who wasn't playing 50, 60 snaps a game, he's getting his opportunities and making them count, right? And so when anyone asks about wanting to play more, it's about performing in practice, doing it consistently. And when you get your opportunities in games, you go out there and you do it, then you can build from there.
For you guys as an offense, just what did the bye week look like?
You know, the bye week, as you know, it's a combination of things. There's a lot of people that you want to serve. You want to make sure that you're getting your guys healthy, right? And so you do that with people who played a lot. You want to make sure that people maybe weren't taking as many reps are now getting more reps, okay? You want to spend some time doing some self-scout, evaluating, you know, maybe any tendencies or things that you're doing well or things that you need to do, you know, better. And then you introduce your upcoming opponent. Right, so it's a combination of all those things in that week, which we're able to accomplish, and it's good. So you get a jump start on our opponent this week, and you spend a lot of time on self-reflection. I think I said this before, but you know, it's not just as an offense, but we challenged our individual players to do some self-discovery, and so we made a cut up for every one of them to watch every one of their plays that they played, and they reflected back, here are the things I'm doing well, here are the things I got to continue to do better.
When you look back at the first 7 games of the season, what are some of the areas on that self-scout that you feel like you really need to improve on over the final 5 regular season games?
Well, you know, it's never just one thing. You know, if it was consistently, boy, we need to throw the ball better, boy, we got to run the ball better, boy, we got to block better, boy, we got to do this better. It's always a combination of things, I think, you know, on a given moment. And for us, it fundamentally just come down to let's make sure we continue to do the things that we're doing well by doing them even more consistently.
Andy, during the bye week, you look at Central Florida, they were kind of real, and they go on the bye, and they go to Oklahoma and get a tough game. How much can you improve or install maybe to enhance what you're doing during the bye week?
Well, I've talked about before in here how, depending on when your bye week is and how experienced your team is, you may save quote unquote installation for a bye week. And we've done that before. That might be one thing that you do, knowing that, you know, if you're planning ahead, right, hey, you're going to get to this point this season, here's the defense you're going to see in the second half, go back and install this, right? Or you might re-emphasize something that you haven't installed earlier in the year, or that you did install earlier in the year. So there's a lot to enhance, but I've commented in here before too about the importance of evolving every week, right? You're never trying to reinvent the wheel every week, but your matchup could change based off of a number of variables, from who their personnel are compared to your personnel, what they do schematically compared to what, you know what I mean, you do schematically, things that other opponents have done well against them. You know, so there's all these variables that you evaluate week to week. So it's not, it's not a big deal for us to feel like, if, hey, we got to put this in or install something new. But you should have a chance to enhance your team,
And
for
then
sure.
When you watch Oklahoma, what do you see from them?
On defense, you see they're very diverse. Okay, the best way I would say it is that they're defensively a version of us offensively. Right, so you have two really multiple groups going against each other, which should be fun. From a personnel standpoint, you see a lot of athleticism, right? You see guys playing hard. You know, they're doing a good job of generating turnovers. And that's how they're winning games fundamentally. Is that their turnover margin is pretty good, and so it's going to be critical for us to make sure that we're taking care of the ball on Saturday.
Brent Venables has kind of been known around the industry that he's good at picking up signs and stuff from the opposite sideline and stuff in the week leading up. Is there anything you have to change up from a signaling in perspective heading into the game?
You know, that's a good question. We mask that stuff up pretty good. I think I'm not even going to say it because it'd be inappropriate probably to make a joke right now with what's going on about videotaping and stuff like that. Not suggesting that, but we definitely, I think everyone masks what they do and try to disguise. I don't think you always prepare as though that's what's happening from your opponent, as though they're trying to steal signals and get a beat on what you're doing. I think fundamentally for us, the fact that we huddle a lot, makes it easy. So for us at least.
Curious, any differences year 2, year 1 with Oklahoma?
From them?
Yeah.
Well, I would, just similar to our journey, right? We're at one more year ahead, but they know the lingo, they know the terminology, they evaluated their personnel and kind of said, here's where we want to, quote unquote, get better, right? Or upgrade. And they went about doing that. So you can see that they're understanding what they're doing defensively a lot better for sure, right? With their diversity, and that they've identified who they want to be, right, as a team schematically, and how they want to play, and they've been preaching and emphasized that. So I really respect that.
What did you learn about your run game from a game against Oklahoma State where those guys were challenged more than they had been in previous weeks?
Well, I don't know, what you say, what you learned. I think when you're running the ball well, you're typically, you're blocking well, right? You're finishing runs, your guys carrying the football are finishing runs, and when those things aren't happening, okay, why? Was it because there was things challenging schematically, or things that we didn't execute well? That's what you look at. So to sit there and point at one thing, it's hard to do that and say, hey, it was just because we didn't block well, or we didn't run well, or we had a bad play call. And it's probably a combination of all those things in a given moment. Like I've used in before, planes crash never because of just one reason. It's usually a series of small little things, right, stacked and compounded on top of one another. And that's kind of what that was. But I would tell you the fact that we could go out there and Jason, was able to throw the ball. See, that's
Plane crash.
there you go, right? Lights off. You can see that, for us to be able to go out there and throw for how many yards he did, right? Like we have balance. We have the ability to exploit teams where they're giving us opportunity.
Both teams play on it, can't control it, but do you give any extra consideration to weather like this, if that's what's coming this weekend?
Well, yeah, you have a little idea of a forecast, and I don't even know what it is yet today, but we practiced in it yesterday, and today, and so you're prepared for it. It's what it is. You can't control it. It's fall. It's college football. It's what it is about, right? So I feel fine that we'll be able to execute, in the situation, right? It's as big of a deal as you make it,
There you go.
So.
Over the course of the season, we've seen you guys use even going back to last year, the short huddle, run up to the line, snap it. Do you guys track the success rate for those plays?
Yeah, we typically track, our efficiency, if you will, in any scheme, play, run, pass type procedure, right, to identify if it's been good or not, and everything's mixed, Like a lot of times you look at something, you might say, man, that was, 90% successful. We need to do that more. Well, maybe it loses its effectiveness if you start doing it more, right? And so not specifically that situation or that procedure, but you have to look at that at all. And we want to be able to be diverse, and so that in any moment, that's not the only thing that you're doing, right?
When you guys do that, the quick run with the line and snap, like what is the goal you're trying to accomplish when you do that?
Put stress on the defense, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. I've talked about it here before. when you can make a defensive team have to make checks really quickly, right? So their offense is notorious for playing really fast, forcing their opponent's defenses to make calls and communicate really, really quickly. Same thing, except it's not done at that kind of tempo.
You look at the improvement in this OU defense has made, just comparatively, how big of a difference do you see from like 2021, for example, to now? Obviously, different coaching staffs and all.
From them,
Yeah.
well, it's a different coaching staff, first of all, from the
Yeah.
21 year to 22, and then 20, like we had or said earlier, from 22 to 23, you can see their commitment to who they want to be schematically and the kind of way, their style of football. And that you can see that that's been preached over a whole offseason. And again, as a coach and a teacher, I really respect that because you know, as diverse and multiple they are, you can still see what they're coaching and what they want to do schematically. And it's working out.
Anything else for Coach K?
Any questions? Appreciate y'all.
Thanks.
Have a good one.